Different story for Boris Becker yesterday. He struggled against South Africa's Wayne Pereira, dropping the first set. But Becker stormed back and in the end won a thrilling third set tiebreak. Today, Sampras and Becker meet, and a win will clinch a berth in the World Championship semi-finals on Saturday. It's Becker and Sampras next here on ESPN. Frankfurt, Germany, the financial capital of Europe, hosts this big money event. It's the World Championship. Pete Sampras today takes on, in our feature match, Germany's hometown favorite, Boris Becker. Very warm greetings, everybody. I'm Cliff Drysdale. Yesterday, Boris Becker was in all kinds of trouble, but he hung on. Michael Chang, a winner, but it was a tough match for him as well. And Pete Sampras, relatively an easy day for him. That sets up, in my opinion, the most compelling match of this week, Pete Sampras and Boris Becker, in the absence of Andre Agassi. And Fred, these two played the final at the Paris Indoor just about 10 days ago now.
Yes, and it's always a great confrontation when you get the two big servers out there, because Becker likes to handle that returner serve off the big serve from Pete Sampras. But Sampras got to be feeling pretty confident because of those 18 aces he served yesterday.
And then remember, Fred, last year at Wimbledon, when it looked for all the world like Becker really was not going to be a factor. He comes through and takes out Andre Agassi in the semi-final of Wimbledon, then plays Sampras in the final again.
Well, that surprised a few, Cliff, but I don't think it surprised Boris Becker, because he regards that centre court there as his living room. He's won the title there on numerous occasions and plays his best tennis at Wimbledon. Problem is now Pete Sampras is living in Boris Becker's living room there, and it was Boris Becker that after that championship said, hey, it used to be my home, but now Pete owns it.
All right, well, when you consider the dynamics, though, of this match, Fred, you've got Pete Sampras, who kind of likes to play indoors. Becker likes to play indoors as well. But you've got to add to that the fact that Becker is playing in front of his home crowd.
I think this is going to be a very different Boris Becker to the Becker that we saw yesterday, Cliff. And I say that because he was expected to beat Ferreira yesterday. Today he goes in, the crowd will be behind him. And Pete Sampras has had troubles with Boris Becker indoors. Overall, Sampras has an edge, but indoors, Becker has a slight edge. So this could be a big one, and it is a big one, a very important match for both players.
Because the winner of this match will certainly be in the semi-finals. They both still could make it to Saturday regardless. When we come back, results from yesterday and current standings. Our coverage of today's IBM ATP Tour World Championship match is being brought to you by IBM, Solutions for a Small Planet, and by Alliance Capital, mutual funds without the mystery. Any which way you look at it here in Frankfurt, this is the most interesting match for the German fans, with Becker in action, of course, and Pete Sampras, the top player in the world. This is day 2 here of the World Championship. Yesterday, Pete Sampras over Kafelnikov easily, 6-3, 6-3. Then Becker had a very rough late afternoon with Wayne Pereira of South Africa. Pereira started out firing on all cylinders and then some, and he won the first set. In fact, Becker said afterwards that for that first half hour, there was really nothing he could do. Becker came back and won the second set 6-2. They had a very tight third set, very tight, and Becker won it. Then Muster losing to Michael Chang for the first time in 5 outings. So Pete Sampras in the white group has won, Becker has won, Ferreira is 0-1, and Yevgeny Kafelnikov as of now is 0-1. Earlier today, it was Thomas Enquist taking out Courier easily. So here's how the red group stands as of now. Chang 1-0. Enquist has 1-0 as well. Muster has lost 1, and Courier has also yet to get on the board.
Well, Boris Becker, a great fan here, standing ovation. It's amazing. Look at the crowd behind that court there when Boris Becker is practicing. They're not about to go and sit down until time is called. They want to get as close to this hero as they possibly can. Becker is 28 years of age, born in Leimen in Germany, and now in residence of Munich, and also has a place in Monte Carlo. He's a tall lad, 6'3", and of course right-handed. He's number 5. He's ranked number 5 here this year. Jerry Armstrong, your chair umpire, but Becker's home is at Wimbledon. He likes that centre court there. Was the last time he played against Sampras on the grass courts at the All England Club.
As for Pete Sampras, Washington, D.C. was where he was born, then moved out to the hard courts of California. That's where he really was formed as a tennis player. And now Tampa, Florida is home for him. The #1 player in the world, looked for all the world last year like he was going to be the #1 without being threatened by anybody for a long time. Then Andre Agassi made his move after winning the U.S. Open last year and playing so well this year. Now Sampras has that #1 spot back, having won both Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, among others, this year. Really, he has geared himself to the Grand Slams this year, and it has worked for him. He also won the Paris Open over Becker 10 days ago. He has Becker to serve first point, best of 3.
Said Becker's ranking is #5. He's been there all year. Every week this year he's been in the top 5 up until the time this tournament started. Now there the crowd. Sampras is going to have to put up with this. He knows it though, because he's played Becker in this hall a number of times.
Played the Wimbledon final, these two, and Sampras won that. Sampras also beat Becker at the Paris indoor final that was played 10 days ago. As I mentioned, did I say Becker won? Sampras won that one. He has an overall lead, as you can see, 8-5. Indoors, Becker's ahead of him 5-3.
Becker's only won 1 title this year, though. That was in Marseille. He's been in 5 finals.
Physically, 40 love.
Game point Becker. He's won every Grand Slam with the exception of the French Championships, Becker, and he has been #1 in the world, albeit for a short time.
I still find it's one of the most incredible stats of all time that this man, Boris Becker, who's been #1 in the world on so many occasions, has yet to win a tournament on clay. He hates you to talk about that, but it's a fact. He had a big opportunity to win a clay court event this year in the finals in Monte Carlo, where he led 2 sets to love against Thomas Muster, as we look at that topspin backhand from Sampras landing right on the line. He had match points, served a big second serve, went for a huge second serve ace, served a double fault, and Muster came back to win it in the 5th set.
Becker wins the first game to the delight of the German crowd here in Frankfurt, Germany. Back with more of this match after that. Sampras is down 1-0. Becker is ahead. Sampras will serve. We asked Sampras about being the favorite here in Frankfurt and the kind of pressure that it puts on him.
The media expects me to win, but I expect myself to win, and that's the pressure that I have, is the expectations I have for myself. And the off-court stuff, I mean, I've dealt with that, and just play my tennis and not worry what's been written or said about me, and just go out and let my racket do the talking.
As many Grand Slam tournaments as Pete Sampras has won, of course, pressure is no stranger to him.
Well, he's under pressure here because he knows that the majority of the folks here watching this match are going to be against him. Opens it up with an ace. We're going to see a very different Boris Becker, though, today than yesterday. Yesterday he was expected to beat Wayne Ferreira. He was lucky to do so. He played very poorly, in my opinion, for a set and a half. And there's a fine return, and this place goes nuts when Becker hits a great shot. They've played so many matches together. Becker loves the pressure of returning this big serve, and he'll be looking for that serve right down the tee to his forehand. That's Sampras' favourite serve on that ad court.
Actually, Ferreira was saying yesterday that Sampras' best serves are down the line, down the tee, on both sides, which kind of surprised me because I think Sampras likes the wide swinger to the forehand.
That serve there, 200 kilometres an hour, about 123 miles an hour. Becker likes using that short forearm jolt, I like to call it, off his backhand return. He shortens it down on the forehand. He shortens down the backswing on that Sampras serve. You have to.
Fencing right, 40-30.
Sampras holds on. It is 1 game all in the first set. Live NHL action on ESPN2 tonight at 10:30 p.m. from the pond in Anaheim as the Mighty Ducks host the red-hot Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche boast the best winning percentage in the league. And the question is, can the Ducks slow them down? NHL action tonight on ESPN2. Becker, 1 game all. He's decided apparently to close in on the net every chance he gets, Fred. And I'll tell you, I like that move from him. I think it's the way for him to play.
Well, that's the best chance he's got of beating Sampras, because he reads that one well. He's right on top of the net, but Sampras also will take note of that. And you'll find him throwing a couple of lobs as this match progresses. Becker served poorly for him yesterday. Picked it up. It was a very interesting third set, that match, but before then it wasn't much of a match at all. Both players are going to go after the second serve return. Sampras, knowing that Becker's going to come in after this one, rips this one down the line.
Becker's only had about 1 in 4 at this point, early stages, of course, so the serve percentages don't mean that much yet. But overall, the first serve percentage is going to be very important to him. 30-15.
Again, another very aggressive point. A good first serve in, forces a blocked reply from Sampras, and he closes in, really knocks off that volley off the forehand side.
Another first serve from Becker, and it's game point.
40-15.
Clipped a line, and it's still game point for Becker, 40-30.
Fencing right, 40-30.
Well, Sampras anticipated that Becker serve. He must be reading the ball toss quite well at the moment. Look at this. There's the ball toss out there. This one's going to go straight down the tee. Sampras picks it and blasts another forehand return to the forehand volley. A great shot from the overhead camera. You can see the outstretched arms from Becker there, not able to control that volley.
This is a repeat of last year's championship match here in Frankfurt, won by Sampras. That return gives Sampras a break point. It's also a repeat of the first round last year of the round-robin competition. That one was won by Becker.
This is a good return here. Very controlled shot. You can see Sampras was jammed. He was looking for a backhand. And this is where he's matured as a tennis player. He didn't just try and hit the cover off that one. He pushed it wide, took the angle, took the pace off the serve, and now has a break point. This is where Becker sometimes presses a little bit earlier in the match, going for a big second serve.
That is long, and Sampras, with the pressure that he puts on, not so much mental pressure, but the pressure of his great game, gets the first break of the match. 2-1 per set. Watching the World Championship here from Frankfurt, the two most compelling players in this field, Becker and Pete Sampras. Sampras serving with a break. 2-1 per set. .203 kilometers an hour. That's about 124 miles an hour. Becker has won more titles, active ATP Tour titles, than anybody in this field. Edberg has 41, Sampras 36, Muster 35, and Mats Wilander 33. The last one that Becker won was in Marseille, and the last one that Sampras won was 10 days ago at Paris.
Pretty good effort from Sampras, because he won that title in Paris and then had to go back to Los Angeles to do a Nike commercial with Andre Agassi, and Agassi, injured, is not here. And then Sampras back and forth to get ready for this, the end of the year for him, pretty much. Davis Cup play coming up, though. United States against Russia in Moscow. We'll be there for that one.
We asked Sampras about that, and he said he hopes Agassi is back in time, because he's not that eager to play on a very slow clay court indoors in Moscow.
Boy, that's a great shot. He hit that one well yesterday. That was the difference in the match yesterday against Kafelnikov. One of the deals against Kafelnikov. He was able to do that. Kafelnikov not able to produce that type of shot. Not too many people can.
30-15. A lot of pressure on Becker, isn't there? There's Paul Annacone on the right of your screen. Kobe Hermann-Jatt behind that. Behind him, rather, he handles the Great Gestad Switzerland tournament. Paul Annacone is his coach, alongside Tim Gullickson, who's fighting brain tumors in Chicago.
Todd Schneider, who is the trainer that travels now with Sampras on a full-time basis. He was one of the ATP Tour trainers. Left that job to go full-time with Sampras, and Sampras attributes a lot of the work that Todd Schneider does on him with massages and dietary supplements and so forth as keeping him in shape this year. That last serve, 200 kilometers an hour.
208, actually, Fred, and that takes it up to 129. There was a quick look at Becker's dad, the curly-headed fellow that you saw there a minute ago. 3-1 Sampras, first set. 15-love now Becker. Becker had the lead in his last serve game and then let it slip.
Yeah, 40-15. Then some good, solid returns from Sampras. You think with two big servers that the game is going to be decided, that the match is decided by the serve. On a lot of occasions, it is the returner serve that wins this type of a match, because both players, if they're serving well, have to be broken.
Sampras is obviously the favorite to win here, and before the whole thing started, we asked him about playing Becker indoors in Germany and whether he figures that Becker's his main threat, and he said yes. I think Becker indoors, especially in Germany, I find him the most difficult to beat.
Well, the adrenaline gets moving there because the crowd as well pumps Becker up. He plays his best tennis anybody would.
40-15.
Interesting play there from Sampras, who's trying to take it to Becker just as soon as he can as well. Sampras has the break. 3-2 first set. The first match of the day yesterday here at the World Championship saw Pete Sampras take on Yevgeny Kafelnikov. Kafelnikov had his opportunities throughout the match. In fact, he had 6 break point chances in all, but failed to capitalize. Pete Sampras played very well, won it 6-3, 6-3 to win his opening round robin match here at the World Championship. This is Sampras serving to Becker now. He's up with a breaker serve, 3-2 first set.
15.
Well, he's not quite on line where he was yesterday. Yesterday served an average of 2 aces a game right throughout the match. He's served 3 so far in this match. Well, maybe he's going to pick him up in a hurry.
39.
You can see Boris Becker guessing there, looking for the one down the tee. This one, see Becker move to the right, looking for that forehand grip, and there it goes out to the backhand side.
Game point Sampras. He looks to me, Fred, like he's really come out here firing on all cylinders, Sampras. You sometimes see that sort of hangdog look about him, but I think he knows Becker, indoors, Germany, and the fans all kind of consolidate against him here, and he's got to make his move and make it soon, and he has.
Next, first service.
The smart move here, though, Cliff, is to get that early break. Jerry Armstrong, a very experienced chair umpire, calls a let serve. If you get that early break, it quietens the crowd down. It keeps the crowd out of it. Particularly if he can keep on holding serve. That's the little gadget that calls the net cords. They do not have a net cord judge here for the ATP Tour Finals.
They've been experimenting with that thing, Fred, and they tell me it's very accurate.
The players are very happy with it, yeah. Now the crowd cheer that one. That's not really tennis etiquette, but they want their man back in to this match. And that was a simple volley. He gets a good serve out here to Becker. Watch this volley. He's got an open court, Sampras. Just does not play it efficiently. Pushes it into the net. Doesn't come underneath the ball enough. Mike De Palma, who is Boris Becker's hitting partner.
Sampras holds on, and he has the lead with the break 4-2 in the first set. Big lineup on Saturday on ESPN. Join us for College Game Day, 11:30. Then at 12:30 Eastern Time, Indiana and Ohio State. At 5:30 Eastern Time, SEC rivals Alabama and Auburn clash. And then Notre Dame and Air Force under the lights at 8:30 Eastern Time. It's a triple header Saturday on ESPN. Becker serving. He's back to the wall, down a break 4-2 first set.
This is where Becker can possibly start to press a little bit. That was a very wild forehand. Nicky Pilic there, who is the captain of the German Davis Cup team.
That hit the lights up above this stadium, so the point goes to Becker. Today's schedule, Thomas Enquist took out Jim Courier easily, 6-3, 6-2 earlier today. Tonight, Kafelnikov takes on Wayne Ferreira of South Africa. That is wide, 15-30 in this game on Becker's serve.
A little bit of indecision there from Becker. Watch this return. He just slices it, keeps it low. Look at Becker there. Stays and doesn't quite get into it. Sort of hooks the ball right off the top of the surface there, and it goes wide.
He's down a break already, remember, so this point is a big one. 30 all.
Second ace for Becker.
30.
They got cameras all over the courts here. There's 13 cameras operating for the finals here. They can call those baselines, give you a good look at the balls when they're very close to the lines.
Yeah, you can pretty much tell whether they were in or out, which is terrific.
Overhead cameras, great angles.
Game point for Becker. Sampras said that obviously playing against Becker here in front of his home crowd is tough. He said that you don't have anyone rooting for you except your coach and your trainer, so it's a very difficult atmosphere. And then he remembered the Davis Cup tie in Lyon, Fred.
Yeah, well, he should.
When he lost 2 matches. That was his Davis Cup debut.
Debut, yeah.
You got me saying
I got
debut.
you now, yeah. Well, it's about time you spoke some English.
Debut. Deuce.
Boy, he nearly hooked that one in.
Hotel Becker.
Yes, Sampras just looking for that one. He had moved there. He was actually there that early that he was way out in front of that serve and just pulled it in down the line. There's the second serve down the tee. Look at that. Sampras was on the move just before the ball was in the air. His forehand was through it early for the winner. 13 winners for Sampras so far in the match.
Deuce.
Becker's got 6 winners.
Now a break point for Sampras to give him an insurance break in the first set. He's up 4-2. This would give him 5-2 and a service for the set.
Again, this is where I think he's matured as a tennis player. He didn't go for anything on that backhand. It was a tough one to hit. He stayed low and played it with a lot of control. Forced Becker to try and play a half volley.
Again, the return was at least made Becker play it, and he was not up to it. Sampras will serve at 5-2 for the first set after this. From Frankfurt, you're watching the World Championship of Tennis on the IBM ATP Tour, Day 2. There's a look at Pete Sampras. He is taking on Boris Becker of Germany. As for Pete Sampras, he was the champion here in '91 over Jim Courier. He was a finalist in '93, losing to Michael Stich. Last year, he beat Becker in the final. He lost the semifinals in '92 to Jim Courier, and then Courier lost to Becker, who won the championship that year, and said that that was one of his shining moments in tennis. Happened to be on his birthday. And Courier at the time was the top player in the world.
Since 1992, he has been number 1 or number 2 player in the world, and he looks like finishing this year as number 1. So it'll be 3 years in a row, 93, 94, 95. At the end of the year, Sampras has been top dog.
Last player to do that, Freddie van Lendl. And Connors, he made it 5 in a row. McEnroe also before that 4 times. Ended up number 1.
Well, you say he's been so dominant. He's joined Lendl, Connors, McEnroe and Borg as the only players to spend over 100 weeks at the top of the tree.
Fifty.
40 love and set points here for Sampras, and by all accounts, he's got a lot more time that he's going to spend up there.
Well, this has been a very positive set. It looked as though at the start that Becker came out serving particularly well, opened up and won his first service game comfortably. But then Sampras put a stop to that in the second game. Becker led 40-15 in that second service game and lost it.
Goes wide, still a set point for Sampras.
So the crowd has been taken out of this match so far. That is something that Sampras wanted to try and do.
Sampras wins the first set relatively easily behind 2 breaks of serve, 6 games to 2. You were just saying a minute ago, Fred, about those who have been at the top of the heap, as you call it, for more than 100 weeks. Yvonne Lendl heads that list at 270. Jimmy Connors just behind him. McEnroe at 170. Borg as well. Sampras is over the century mark, but I think we're going to see probably another century from him. Here's Becker to serve first game, second set. "29 minutes the first set took. 2 service breaks, 6-2. Very interested to watch the continuing rivalry next year between Sampras and Agassi. Agassi won the Australian last year. Before that, he won the US Open. He has won Wimbledon. In fact, he's won everything except the Open. So has Sampras. 15 low.
Another big crowd here at the Festhalle in Frankfurt to see their favourite son, Boris Becker, here, trying to get him going. That's the way they do it here in Europe. They clap in unison. Becker sort of yelling at himself for missing a rather easy forehand. A lot of people not at work this afternoon. It's 3 o'clock, just after.
Yeah, it's jammed. And Becker loves to play in this arena, he says.
A lot of the returns from Sampras have been directed to the Becker forehand volley. That last one, he did not make a very good effort, didn't bend down. Watch this. Here, see, he doesn't really take the racket back on that forehand volley, sort of snaps the wrist at impact. And Sampras knows that. So if you get a little bit wary and you're a little bit frightened on that forehand volley side, you start to snap that wrist early and you make some errors.
15-30. Big serve, 189 kilometers. Not one of his biggest by any means. His fastest for the day is 201 Ks. That's about 125 miles an hour. 30 all, second serve. First game, second set. Running forehand, that one clips the advertising sign there very close to the top of the net. Game point Becker.
Becker moves in for this volley, and it's going away from Sampras all the time. A good effort from Sampras to get there, but the ball is a little bit behind him.
Yeah, he just stayed in that point, was able to put it away. Sampras had a good shot there to put that one away for a clean winner, but failed. It's one game to love Becker. He lost the first. Warm welcome back to our coverage here on ESPN of the IBM ATP Tour World Championship. Cliff Drysdale, Fred Stolle watching Boris Becker and Pete Sampras. Sampras has won one match already, so has Becker. Wayne Ferrer and Kafelnikov have yet to win. Chang a winner yesterday, Enquist a winner today. Muster and Courier not yet on the board. Sampras won the first set easily behind 2 breaks of serve 6-2. Becker leads 1-0.
Both players not serving very efficiently in the first set. Sampras only with 48% of first serves in. Becker was worse, 44%.
Partly because if I find an excuse for them, Fred, the pressure of knowing how important getting that first serve in against these.
Well, that's why I think that in Becker's case particularly, he should take a little bit off it, because he lost 2 service games in that first set without getting a lot of first serves in. I think it's the percentages are there. If you get more first serves in and just take a little bit off it, it makes it more difficult for your opponent to hit winners off the return.
Very solid stuff. That is not as easy to do as what Becker made it look. He dropped the racket hit on this forehand. Take a look at this. You seldom see that, but he got away with it.
Well, that's the way he volleys. He really doesn't take a big backswing on the volley. And that's what caused him to miss a few when he's in a tight situation, when the ball is coming at him very quickly. It's a lot easier shot to play when the ball is slow and you've got plenty of time to break the wrist at impact.
30-15. Time that Becker's able to win a point, he gets the applause.
A good deep return there from Becker, but Sampras netted the ball and the crowd go crazy.
He hasn't had a break point against him.
No, he has not.
Becker's been broken twice on 2 opportunities. It's 30-all. Becker had started to make a move to cover the down-the-line serve, and it cost him as Sampras swung it wide. That was his 6th ace. Becker has 2. pointing out, Fred, very low percentages on first serve for both players.
Yep.
Deuce.
It's only early in this second set, but the first set, Sampras overall in the match now is at 43% and Becker at 44%, so Sampras has gone down a few more percentage points in this game.
That was very close. He let that one go.
And then didn't realize it was going to be that close.
Oh, man.
Good anticipation from Becker there. He picked that serve. He was on that. That's the serve return that I was talking about when he plays against Sampras. That forearm jolt with the backhand. It's a very short backswing and he muscles it, uses the pace of the serve. Another one like that, but it was too good a serve.
Sampras holds on. They are even in the second set. It's 1 game all. ESPN 2 tips off college basketball coverage tonight, 8:30 p.m. First round action, preseason NIT. Long Beach State takes on Arizona. That's tonight at 8:30 Eastern Time on ESPN 2. Becker to serve, 1 game all. Relatively few aces in this match so far, Fred. Not a very high percentage, but I'm enjoying the match because you're seeing a lot of points played, a lot of rallies. And it's become sort of, as you called it yesterday, a chess match between these two.
Well, it's a heavyweight contest, isn't it? Two huge servers, both going for it, not sort of giving anything. Becker continues to try and smack aces. Look at this service motion. That ball toss, though, causes him problem. You see where it's come from, way behind. Then he's got to throw it forward and reach up into it. And if he doesn't have the ball toss exactly in the right spot, that causes him some serving problems, and he's likely to throw in a few double faults. Just like that. That ball toss was over, a little bit too far over to the left. He chased it.
But I like your line on that one, if I may use it. He's got more movements than the Swiss watch, getting to that service position. And it is not easy. When Bollettieri got with him originally, that's one of the things he said he wanted to uncomplicate. Oh, that's a terrific play from Sampras, and it's going to give him a couple of break points. Good movement for Sampras. He realized that he was there in time, and instead of going for the big winner, he did this. Look.
Again, this is maturity. Becker, that ball would have hit the back fence if he'd have let it go, and he mishit it, and Sampras just had enough time. He didn't try and overplay it. Watch this again. There's the first. That's the second shot. Becker trying his best to dive at it, and look, he puts his hand to his head, say, why did I ever hit that other ball?
And then he cleans his own sweat off the court for fear that if he heads in that direction again, he's going to slip on it. Look at this.
Barbara Becker.
Break point. His third chance. He's broken twice.
You're in a second serve.
Saves one. That's the first break point he saved in the match.
That's a pretty brave shot from Becker there down break point. And Sampras's net cord forehand went deep into the court. Very tough for him to come back with an outright winner under such circumstances. He did. He still has to save another one, though.
saves another one as that very deep serve. He's taken a bit of a risk on that one.
Yeah.
Stayed back too. Kafelnikov, incidentally, Fred, after his match yesterday, as you take a look at Sampras's group, was saying that he felt that when he was back with Sampras, that they were both back, that he had the better chances. He had the better chance, and the statistics showed that he did. Deuce. And now a game point for Becker. Having said that, Becker doesn't have the same ground game that Kafelnikov.
No. Very brave serve that on that last break point, though, from Becker. It hit right on the line. Sampras couldn't control it. Sampras has mixed up his returns very well on the heavy serve from Becker. When he gets a first serve in, Sampras is prepared just to block it back and give himself a chance at a passing shot.
He does it time and time again, clawing his way out of a desperate situation. Becker wins the game. There was a wild match yesterday here at the ATP Championships between Boris Becker and Wayne Ferreira. Becker had the hometown crowd behind him as expected, but Ferreira didn't seem flustered. He started out great. In fact, Ferreira forced a third set tiebreak, but in the end, Becker had the edge. He won it, but it was oh so close. Now it is Becker today against Pete Sampras. The winner of this match will for sure be in the semifinals. Even the loser may make the semifinals on Saturday, but it's a much tougher proposition, remembering that in that section is Kafelnikov and Ferreira, both of whom are saying that they're not out of it yet.
That last game was a must-win situation for Becker. He was down 2 break points in the first serve. He was ahead on serve on both occasions when he lost his serve to Sampras. On that occasion, he got out of difficulty, being down 15-40. So I just made a little mark there. If this match is to turn around, that would have to be the start of it. The crowd gave him a huge ovation at the change of ends to try and get him back into this match with Sampras.
15 love. Love.
Turns a defensive situation into an offensive situation. Sampras just with one swing of the racket.
Left versus.
You know, Becker has been very consistent in the top 10. In fact, he says that he wishes he had made 11 ATP Tour finals in a row. In fact, he missed one. As you can see, just 1 year, 93, he was number 11 and didn't make it. But for the rest, he has been here, and that is a record that he feels might never be overtaken by some of these players. In Sampras's case, I have a feeling that he'll do it. But very, very consistent.
Well, Sampras had 6 in a row already.
Steer that one, Becker did, and it's game point for Sampras. Just missed it. It was pretty close, closer I think than Sampras thought it was going to be, but no doubt in his mind. Take a look. Yeah, it was long. Barely. Jerry Armstrong's not going to change it, that's for sure.
Sampras didn't even attempt to play the ball because it was one of those hook shots that was outside the line, and it kept curving back in. Lots of topspin, but too long.
2 games all. We nearly paid the price for that, trying to be a little cute instead of just putting it away. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN, we'll continue our coverage from Frankfurt of the IBM ATP Tour World Championship. A lot of intriguing matches still to be played in the round-robin competition, all leading to the semi-finals on Saturday and the finals on Sunday. You've got Sampras has to play Wayne Ferreira. Michael Chang has still got Courier in his division. And he's also got to play against Enquist.
Tennis fans from a few decades ago will mourn the passing of one of the great Italian Davis Cup players, Orlando Cirola, who succumbed to cancer a few days ago. Services are held today in Italy. He partnered Nicola Pietrangeli in a very successful Italian, couple of decades of Italian Davis Cup.
Love game point Becker. He'll be remembered by many a clay court specialist that was driven to distraction by him.
Tall, very tall man, yeah. Big guy, nice. The gentle giant of the sport in those days.
That's also wide, and Becker holds on. They're on serve, 3-2. Becker leads. Sampras won the first behind 2 breaks. Frankfurt is a city of great history. It was and still is one of the great business centers of Europe. The DAX is headquartered here. That's the equivalent of the New York Stock Exchange. It was a major trading center as early as the 12th century, and it now hosts the IBM ATP Tour World Championship. In fact, for the last time, Pete Sampras now taking on Boris Becker. Sampras won the first set easily. He's down 2-3. No breaks of serve in the second set yet. Sampras has not had a break point against his serve in the match.
Frankfurt, didn't you tell us yesterday, was the banking capital of Germany as well?
I did, Fred. It's like the financial center. That's Goran Ivanisovic's dad.
Yep. Ivanisevic is the alternate here. He is here just in case somebody injured himself and as a practice partner for a lot of the players. Yeah, too good. He was over there just in so much time, Sampras. Just did not look hurried at all. That was a good return from Becker, and then this time, but look, Sampras is there, racket back, very early preparation, stays still as he makes contact.
And he has no fear of the running forehand, does he?
Best shot. Well, the last few service games, nobody in much trouble. There's only been 1 point lost in the last 3 service games.
30 seconds. 40-15.
Still game point for Becker. Becker's 28 years old. Sampras is 24.
Well, he loved that one.
The high dive overhead. Becker says, by the way, that...
Lots of good hang time on that. Here we go again. Look at it from this angle. There you go. A slam dunk overhead. Good hang time, and he loves that. The crowd do also.
In the air about a foot at least when he makes contact with the ball. Hot dogging it a little bit. Why not? It's kind of a Yannick Noah shot.
You talk about Becker being 28. You know, in our day, that was when you were sort of at the peak of your career. The players are starting to hit their peak a little earlier now.
3 games all.
Statistics show that over a period of 20 years.
Fred, the point is that Becker says that the older he gets, the more decisive he gets, because to win matches and in general to play world-class tennis, he's become very conscious of his game. He says that he doesn't have any time to waste, and as you watch him here on the replay, he says that in 5 years I probably won't be playing here, and that kind of surprises me that he thinks he's got a full 5 years left at 28 years old. Indeed, why not?
As I like to tell my young son, Sandon Cliff, it beats working for a living. Professional athletes, I don't think, realize how lucky they are. There are a lot of hours go into practice, and you've got to have a lot of talent, but it is a very rewarding career for a young athlete, be it in men's tennis or women's tennis today.
15 all. Game point to Becker. A reminder, these two played against each other in the final last year. Won by Sampras. Big serve by Becker. They've played 13 times in all. Sampras leads that 8-5. They'll take a break. We'll join them on serve. Second set, 4-3 Becker. Sampras won the first. We're on serve in the second. Becker leading 4-3. We asked Pete how he's changed since he played in this World Championship 6 years ago.
When I was 19, I was so young, not even playing, but just off the court, dealing with the media and people in general. I was really uncomfortable, and I think I've just gotten used to that over the past 3 or 4 years, and you know, my tennis has gotten better, and I'm a better player than I was when I was here 6 years ago, and just my life has changed, and I've just kind of accepted it and dealt with it.
15.
Sampras 15-love in this game. 4-3 Becker in the set. It's interesting, you were making the comparison yesterday about how Sampras is a much more mature player than a Kafelnikov, for example. And it all has to do with maturity and how he's grown up these last few years.
Well, Kafelnikov was 21 years of age. When Sampras was 21, he was the same. And in his own words there, he has matured. And I think part of that is he's started to learn to play more percentage tennis on the big points and the points that matter. And it's evident here, he plays this one, just steers it down the line, doesn't go for the winner, and says, hey, if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to come up with a big shot. Becker very nearly did.
Sampras holds on. They will play with new balls from now on in, and it is 4 games all.
In the last 5 service games, Cliff, there's only been 3 points dropped on serve. This game won to love by Sampras to get it even. Becker there annoyed. He says, well, why didn't I go down the line, trying to slice that one back cross court?
I think Sampras is going to win this match, but this is where Becker is at his toughest. 4 games all, indoors, his favorite surface, the crowd behind him. Look out. Big moment in the match. Well, so much for all that.
So much for that, yeah. I think now at love 15, Sampras can have a crack at a couple of second serves. He will do. It's very important now for Becker to get some first serves into play, because if he doesn't, he's going to be under the gun. Well, that was an absolute sitter. I think he just... Well, we talked about the way he hits that forehand volley, Cliff, and I honestly believe that that causes a lot of problems. He doesn't take the racket back far enough. He gets there, and as he makes contact, he breaks that wrist. And there he was watching Sampras out of the corner of his eye. Sampras didn't move. Sampras went back into that corner. Love 30.
Now to wonder what's going to happen. The Becker serve down the forehand side, and will Sampras anticipate it like he has? Well, indeed, will he even serve it there? Big point, 15-30. 4 games all. That was a bit lucky from Becker, because he was out of court with that backhand, was able to slide it over the net. Mike DePalma watching and giving him a clap. And that set up this here and the opportunity to go down the line for the pass.
Yeah, the thing that really set it up was the fact that this little slice backhand so low that Sampras can't go down the line, because he picked it up very low off the court. He had to go over the middle part of the net, the lowest point, and Boris Becker was able to stay in that corner and get himself set for that backhand passing shot.
30 all. That is only his 4th ace in the match. Game point. Make that 5 now. The players will change ends. Becker getting himself out of a hole in that game. He's up 5 games to 4, and the crowd have come alive. It was a rematch of this year's French Open final. Thomas Muster last night taking on Michael Chang. It went 3 sets in front of an outstanding and enthusiastic crowd. In the 3rd set, 7th game, Chang broke Muster and went on to victory. It was a hard-fought win that left Chang limping with cramps. Chang is 1-0 in his red group as a result. It was 4-6, 6-2, 6-3, Chang over Muster. Crowd are in this one as well, as Becker made his comeback in that last game. Down love 30, comes back and wins it 5-4. He leads on serve, no breaks of serve in the set. 2 in the first set. Sampras won that 6-2. Here's Sampras to serve at 4-5.
This is where Sampras has to pay attention, because the crowd are obviously against him now. They've got Becker through that last one, and he has to serve well to stay out in front, to keep the crowd quiet. If he makes a couple of errors early in this game, then they're going to be all with Becker.
Love. Wide, 30 love.
Oh, that was an easy shot for Becker, that one. He pulled off that one somewhat. Sampras a little tentative on the volley. Look at this shoulder. He doesn't hit right through it. You can see the way he stepped back onto the back foot. When you do that, you lift up. Oh, it's a good serve. So he's doing exactly what he has to do, is keep the crowd quiet. You can hear a pin drop now after that last service game. You could hear the roof rattle.
Put that one away easily. He really changed that serve up. Instead of going for the big one, he just slid the ball in, basically. 143 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is in miles. We don't go down that low. But he just got up to the net and won the point anyway.
That's about as fast as you serve it, Cliff, I think. It's 5-all. There's that clapping in unison to try and get Becker to stay in front in this second set.
Well, he gives him good value, Becker. I'll say that. He just gives it 100% of every time. He plays with so much flair and emotion. And last night, or yesterday afternoon rather, against Ferreira, he was in a deep hole after the first set, but somehow got his way out of it.
Well, Ferreira helped him out of it in the second set, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't go away in the third set, and Becker really had to win it.
Good solid volley there from Becker, deep into the backhand corner of Sampras.
30 love.
Again, respecting the return off a second serve. He knows that it has to be a good one, so he's thrown in a few double faults.
4 in all, and we're talking about the first serve percentages not being that good, and they're still not that good. Sampras is only at 50% now. Becker below that. But very few double faults relatively. Sampras only served 1.
That's where Sampras has been a little sloppy today, not quite timing the ball the way he did yesterday against Kafelnikov. He plays a good return from here, takes the pace off the ball, then gets this one without much on it. Then he's got to create his own pace, and that's where he's been having the trouble. Plenty of room for that passing shot, and he framed it.
Big serve from Becker, and he holds on. Sampras will serve to try to get into a tie-break second set when we come back. Fasten the seatbelts, everyone. This is a big moment in this match. Sampras is serving to try to get into the tie-break second set. He won the first set. There haven't been any breaks in the second set yet, so the chances are we'll see a TB for it all. Maybe not for it all, because if Becker wins it, it'll be for the set.
And during that last changeover, the crowd chanting Boris, Boris. They want a third set.
That is a great shot from Sampras. He moves like a cat back there, and then that backhand played so well. That's
well, Boris Becker's dad even applauded that one because it was only his wife sitting there. This was a great point from both players. Look where Sampras is. He's back in the signage back there as he hits this one. A good 15 feet behind the baseline, and it got enough topspin on it to get it below there, get it low over the net, and it bounced before it got to the service line. Incredible point.
30 love.
Becker's got that confident little jog going for him at the moment, and that's because of the crowd. They get him going here in Frankfurt. As Cliff mentioned, this is his favorite place to play.
Big serve from Sampras. That was very close to 200 kilometers. Call that 124 miles an hour.
And he's into double digits. 10 aces now. Becker with 6.
Sampras holds on, so first to 7 points with a 2-point lead wins the tiebreak. If it's Sampras, he wins the match along with it.
You can almost hear the crowd saying, now what happens here, because Sampras has got the bigger serve. Who is going to get through this one? Now the chance starts.
20 and 19 for Sampras. That is not near as good as it was last year for him, but a big improvement over where it was earlier this year. And Becker about the same percentages, 19 and 18.
There's that forehand volley that he snatches out again. A very good play there from Sampras. Again, just playing that serve back, getting it back into play.
Big return, clean winner. Sampras struggled for it, but wasn't near it. 1-all.
Hey, that's a terrific shot. You don't know how hard this is. Look where he hits this ball from up around shoulder height, and he comes over, hits it with topspin. It bounces inside that service line. You can see the grimace on Sampras's face trying to reach that one. It was just put in the perfect spot for Becker.
A risky shot from Becker, but risks is that's what you have to take at this stage. 2-1 Sampras. Players change sides after 6 points.
There's the fine forehand return, but this time it's a much more solid volley from Sampras. He comes underneath the ball knowing that he can use the pace of shot to make the winner.
He slid that one by Becker, and you explain it.
Again, though, Cliff, this is a percentage. Look at this. He comes underneath this one, blocks it back, slides it down the line, as opposed to trying to come over it. His tactics right throughout this match has been to try and get that first serve back into play.
And especially into the forehand volley if he can.
There it is again.
Ooh, going for the big one on that occasion. Clips the tape, though, just too low, and it's a 3-2 lead for Sampras with his serve to come.
The tactics there is to rely on your passing shot. It gives you another opportunity as to go for the non-percentage shot off a big serve. Sampras went for that one, hit right on top of the tape. Tactics were correct, though. He still has a mini break at 3-2.
4-2, 6 points. The players change ends. Sampras clearly with the advantage now, and he's got one serve to come. A 5-2 lead puts him 2 points away from the match, but it is only one mini break point. The winner of this match, a certainty for the semi-finals on Saturday here. Just wide. Sampras blows it wide. A little bit of help from him. 5-2. $90,000 at stake in each round-robin match.
201 kilometres, 125 miles an hour, that one. And boy, from that point when he got that mini break and 2 big first serves is so important in a tiebreaker.
Five-2 Sampras, second serve. That goes along, and Sampras has got a handful of set and match points.
Good second serve directed into the body of Sampras.
6-3.
And he's got still a bag full of match points, and he's got 2 serves to come. Mike De Palma, Becker's hitting partner there, Nicky Pilic, the Davis Cup captain, and that's the Sampras corner there.
Yeah, that is just very strong play from Sampras. Got a couple of wins under his belt now. He took out Kafelnikov, the Russian, yesterday in straight sets. He takes out Becker now. Becker has got to play against Ferreira, and that becomes a possible must-win match